Happy Wednesday, everyone. Hopefully, you all are geared up for another episode, let alone another day in the market. And today, oh man, we got a lot of stuff to talk about. We got some government data, got some Middle Eastern stuff to talk about once again, since it is a very hot topic. We're also going to be talking about SpaceX in today's episode. I have not talked about SpaceX just yet. That is IPOing this Friday. No one has really asked me down in the comment section below if I am actually going to be partaking in the initial offering of SpaceX, Elon Musk's new company, where data centers supposedly are being built on the moon in space. The moon's going to be gathered for unlimited resource, so I kind of really want to talk about that a little bit. Want to go over my public YouTube profile here for the channel. I'm going to try to keep this episode below 20 minutes, so as always, if you enjoy these videos, smash the like button. I put out videos Monday through Friday on this YouTube channel, sometimes drop bonus videos on Saturday. Always appreciate, especially my daily viewers showing up, and if you do find this channel, or have found this channel, it's relatively new. My main YouTube channel, NightmareRH, 200,000 plus subscribers, a video game channel. Video gamers, they don't want to be dabbling in the market right now, let alone a lot of people don't want to be dabbling in the market. It's pretty funny. The market is very unpopular, which is why you got to be doing your due diligence and you got to be building great positions here. Okay, so firstly and foremost, let's talk about some government data that came out. Right now, it's 10:13 a.m. Eastern Standard Time here. Government data, what do we get? So today, we ended up getting a dreaded report. Very dreaded. CPI, baby. Consumer Price Index. All throughout 2023, this caused massive, or actually, I mean, it's kind of really funny because I've been in the market since 2020 March. Is when literally I bought like my first stock ever. And I've been literally in the market for over 6 years now. I have not left the market. I've not consolidated everything to cash. I haven't pulled out everything from my brokerage apps. I'm not one of those people that will go in, go out, go in, go out. No. My philosophy is very simple, and what I believe is that you should stay mirrored to the market. I'm about to be 38 years old in about 2 weeks here, June 25th, baby. 2 weeks in a day. I really wish that I got into the market in my 20s, but I built cash, worked very hard, just kept it in savings and checkings accounts, and ultimately lost to inflation. Didn't get into the market until I was 31 years old, March 2020. And the reason I got into the market is because I saw a life-changing opportunity. 2022, I chose to stay in the market because I found a new passion, but I very well could have exited the market. Because 2020, 21, I made life-changing money by literally just buying the down Rona stocks. I very well could have walked away because it was very much going into a bear market. But many people that continuously bought during 2020, they made great money because if you're buying stocks when they are beaten down from their 52-week highs, especially great stocks that are led by great management teams, you're going to be all right. Now, this year is so much different than 2022. So many people are saying this is a bear market. That's just false. Stocks are down because of external factors. Why did the market go down in 2022? Because companies were losing earnings. Earnings were going down, primarily big tech. Now earnings are going up. Geopolitical events are causing the consumer price index to very much be elevated. Now, the CPI report came in line, and yesterday I said that it's basically pretty much three things can happen. We can come in hotter than expected. The market can very much go down. We can come in line, trade sideways, or we can come in like instead of 4.2, we come in maybe 4.1, 4.0. at 3.9, and boom, hey, inflation is not really being seen as a problem. Okay, so we came in line. That's really good. Oil is very much trending down, and understand that this data is the previous month. All throughout 2022, I started to pay attention to a lot of government, reports. 2020, 2021, I didn't pay attention to anything. My life was also very, very different at that time. I was actually still in the United States military on active duty during that time. My service is done now, but during that time period, I didn't really give a rat's ass about government data at all. I just cared about loading the boat on down stock. And then, of course, when the COVID vaccinations were announced, when the election was over, the market rallied. And then all throughout 2021 with massive money printing, stimulus checks. The rest is history, okay? If you were in that market during that time period, paying attention to government data, you didn't care, okay? Now it's all eyes on government data. Tomorrow, PPI, another inflation report. This one's going to be a little iffy because during 2023, I remember there would be times where the CPI would come in line, but the PPI would come in hot, and we would sell off after the PPI, and we would also sell off that following day and also the following week as well too. It was dog shit. I'm not gonna lie, it was pretty bad. 2022 for the market, it was a tough one. So another thing too, geopolitical events. If you want to watch this video, you can go ahead and I'll put the link down below. So there's some escalation that pretty much did happen, some retaliatory strikes. Here's the catch though, okay? There are still strikes happening between the US and also Iran. But the thing about it, and the remarkable true thing, is that oil right now is below 90 bucks a barrel. So the market is very much pricing in that, okay, these attacks are nothing new and scary. The whole thing could very well be done because President Trump is still shouting that I don't even think trouting is a word, I just made it. I was shouting that there's going to be a peace deal relatively soon. So if there is a peace deal, we're going to see oil trending back to 85, very bullish. The Federal Reserve has indicated that if oil goes down to $85 a barrel or below, it's not really going to affect inflation that much. If we can get below 80, Anthony Noto, SoFi management team CEO, and many other stocks out there will extremely benefit. Now, 1 month ago, if we look in the chart here, oil back in, you got to remember, so the data that we just got was May. Oil was, just look at all these days. You're talking, I want to say, from beginning of May, we were over $100 a barrel. So the fact that this data is the previous month when we were essentially all in this cluster of area here, that makes me feel very bullish on the next month's CPI report. And I think that's why the market right now is not very much being more volatile than it really needs to be. Obviously, the VIX is up here 2%-ish, 2.57. Some stocks of mine are definitely getting hit, but we're not seeing a massive swoosh down. Yesterday was an epic sell-off. I'll get to that momentarily, but looking at the future for the following month, okay, next month, we're now going to be getting data of oil pretty much below $100. And then when it comes to August, which is 2 months out, hopefully, if oil in July is lower than where it is right now, you're going to see all these inflation reports pretty much start to plummet, okay? That's going to put a lot of pressure off The one new Fed governor, water cheers, by the way. Yesterday I got murdered at the track. 91, humid. Good workout though, but whoo, man, was drenched in sweat. If we can go ahead and get oil continuously to go lower, you're just going to see the following months be extremely more bullish. And you don't need to wait until all the CPI reports start coming out. The market is smart in pricing in future catalysts. If the Fed governor comes out and says, yeah, oil is trending down, so we know the next couple of CPI reports are going to be very much lower, boom, baby, the market's going to price in that, hey, inflation's coming down, there's not going to be any need to do a rate hike, and everything's going to be pretty much like good to go in simplest terms. Okay, so government data we talked about, Middle East stuff we talked about once again. I mean, it's really going to take like a major black swan event in the Middle East to cause a lot more fears, but I'm really liking how oil is very much below 90 bucks. So is a lot of other people on social media too. Real quick, I want to go over my public profile because I have not bought any new stock, and I kind of really want to talk why. So if you are new to this YouTube channel, welcome. Like I said, I'm doing a public account profile challenge, looking to take this sum of money to couple 5 figs to 6 figs in the course of 17 months. This account challenge, and this is a risk-on account. This account challenge started 2 January this year. I've given myself a bunch of fun rules, such as I can only deposit $500 per month. If I do a large deposit, it goes from initially it was 18 months. I did a large deposit in February. Then it broke down to 17 months. Why do I have rules of deposits? Because if I were to just deposit all this money all at once, I mean, it would be a little bit of cheating, you know? Like, okay, I'm going to get to 6 figures by just depositing money. No, that's fucking cheating, okay? You got to make rules for yourself, okay? I've already preloaded this account halfway up until October of this year. I may deposit a little more depending what happens later this week or next week. But I mean, my positions are built. And why am I not depositing the remainder of the $37.50 into this account? Why don't I make another large deposit? Because anything can happen, and I'm not God. I can't predict the future. For all we know, we could go into a recession. Something can happen. And if something does happen, I want cash on the sidelines. Now, in the last 7-8 months, publicly on YouTube, I've been buying tens and tens of thousands of dollars worth of stock, publicly and also privately. Altogether, in the last 7-8 months, I think I've bought well beyond $70,000 of hard cash worth of stock. Retail investor, retail trader here, not big Wall Street money. But at the same time, you got to position yourself to pretty much do the opposite of what Wall Streeters do. And when they send the market down to the downside, you got to be buying the fear. So I do occasionally get asked, why don't I deposit everything? And it's a simple answer of what if we theoretically go into a sell-off later this year? What if theoretically SoFi goes onto a lower evaluation? What if SoFi goes into the 10s, the 11s? I want to have stuff prepared. But my positions are very well built. I will, of course, always be adding to positions like SoFi. Adobe is very much well built. That one, if it goes any lower, I gotta be really. It's the thing about software is that right now it's all about hardware. So until hardware is basically pretty much like not the play, and it rotates back into software, Adobe could very well be down for me for a while. Do I believe Adobe could be dead money? I don't really believe so. I believe PayPal is necessarily more so dead money. But then again, PayPal, I mean, they're a growing company, 4% year over year. Okay, nothing sexy, but still, they're a growing, profitable company. Um, PayPal's valuation is much lower than what like SoFi. Like if SoFi went to $10 or below, oh man, that's crazy. My private profile, I talk about this all the time because I am a raging SoFi bull. I'm holding 1,642 shares on SoFi. Been buying SoFi since February of 2024. But I mean, this is all bonus shares for me. I do own the same set of tickers on my private account and also public, just in very much larger amounts. AMD has very much taken over this profile, and I'm also holding massive gains on AMD. I was buying AMD on my private account during Liberation Day. You're talking AMD shares at below $100. I think I got some in the high 80s on that account. And the thing about it is that AMD, to be honest, AMD might be performing very much better than SoFi. I should really make a video talking about that. But I mean, AMD, there are just so many things talking about it. So, my positions are very much built. Now, when it comes to stocks and what happened yesterday, there's a lot of chatter. Okay, let's go ahead and look at some of this stuff. I want to go ahead and look, firstly, on the major indexes. So, on the major indexes here, on the daily chart, okay, all these candlesticks are 1 day. The 50-day moving average, the S&P literally did a V-shape blowout recovery way above the 50-day moving average. Now it's a little bit pulling back to the 50-day moving average. It's actually very bullish because you gotta do a pullback to go higher, okay? The charts do matter. I do understand if you're investing for the future, but you gotta understand how moving averages work and how it affects the overall market. Yes, I'm a bull. I'm a bull as an American patriot. I'm a bull in the U.S. stock market. But you got to understand that stocks need to go down. They need to cool off. They need to reset so they can go higher. Okay? The moving averages have been reset. The only thing about the major index is that the MACD, moving average conversion diversion, is on a downward trend now. Now, can it reverse? Sure, it could. But can we pull back to that 50-day moving average of the like 720 area? Absolutely. The Qs, NASDAQ 100, 675, call it even. You're talking about a 5% pullback. Sure, healthy 5% pullback. Russell 2000, sure, yeah, we could actually pull back a lot greater. Healthy pullback. NASDAQ, we're pretty much right there at the 50-day. Dow Jones, I mean, the Dow is so much different because of pretty much the companies in like this index. It's so much different. Like the Dow could very much be up, down 5%. It's very different in the terms of like operating like pretty much the SPY and the Qs and also the Russell. Bitcoin, this is the one that's causing a lot of people like some heartache about crypto, okay? But I want to go ahead and look at SoFi and pretty much a lot of different stocks for the time being. Yeah, this video is going to probably be over 20 minutes. Oh, well. Yeah, a lot of stuff to talk about. So instead of looking at the daily chart, I want to look at the weekly chart, okay? Sometimes you got to zoom out further. If you're going to be investing, if you're going to be trading, you got to zoom out as far as you can go. I really like looking at the weekly, especially when there's a lot of choppiness on the daily time frame. So every one of these candlesticks is 5 trading days, Monday through Friday, okay? So what do you see? Well, what we see is that on the weekly time frame for this week, last week we basically pretty much gave up all of our gains off the previous week of the end of May. However, this week we're just very much kind of a little bit green, but we have a lot of room to really push higher. But the thing that I really like is that we haven't really broken this pretty much double bottom here, and it does signal that over the last week and potentially this week, it's pretty much just a reversal. So the thing about it for me, to add shares to SoFi, I'm not really going to be looking personally to add shares to SoFi unless we really get close to 15 bucks or lower. I've loaded the friggin' boat on SoFi since it's pretty much been down below 25 bucks here. But for me, on the weekly chart, looking at this, I mean, it's definitely not bullish. It's still consolidating, but we haven't really broken the bottom that we established. So that's a good thing. AMD on the weekly chart, I mean, we are still way above the 50-day moving average. We got probably a lot of consolidation to do still. But the thing about it is that when stocks just get rock and rolling, a lot of technical analysis, it gets thrown out of the window. Okay, fundamental analysis can fail. Technical analysis can fail. Prime example is AMD. Theoretically, AMD should crash to 240 bucks. It really should. Now, is it going to? Well, if AMD were to crash to 240 bucks, what made it crash to 240 bucks? Because if AMD is going to go to 240 bucks, I'm thinking personally, maybe we're going to be going into a recession or something. Okay, I'm going to load the boat on AMD. But if something fundamentally changes for AMD, let's say maybe the government regulates something and says, hey, AMD can't sell chips anymore. Okay, that's a big difference. This is where technical analysis fails. And this is the reason why long-term investors don't like technical analysis. However, if you're a long-term investor in SoFi like me, fundamental analysis fails. Because fundamentally, SoFi should not be trading at these levels. Fundamentally, SoFi should really be trading at like the mid-20s. Why is that? Because their growth is up and to the right. And their frigging growth rate year over year is 40% for the next 3 years. Like, okay, this is where fundamental analysis fails for SoFi and technical analysis fails for AMD. So what do you do in this situation? Well, what is your strategy? Have you already built your AMD position? Are you looking to build your AMD position? These are the things that you have to come up with, especially if you're thinking about taking a long position in AMD. But on a technical analysis basis, yeah, we are overbought on AMD. Now, Adobe, very much on the weekly time frame here, very much near the lows of April. So this kind of tells me the same thing about SoFi consolidation. Robinhood is really making lower lows. They're very much still trending a little higher on the weekly basis. They go up, they pull back, but ultimately, Robinhood is very much trying to get back well over that $100. And I do believe Robinhood will be over $100 in the next several months. Palantir is just consolidating for me. Meta is really, really breaking down because their CapEx spending. PayPal is consolidating. ServiceNow is very much trying to break out. We go to pretty much banks. JPM, very much above the 50-day moving average, bullish. And they're very much trying to get back to all-time highs. Semi-leader, NVIDIA, obviously on the weekly time frame, it looks like we're going to be pulling back to that 185 potentially. But then again, we could be getting a very nice bounce higher. Let's go to Microsoft, the SaaS top company. Obviously, Microsoft, we could trend back down to 387, the 200-day. So understand that so many of stocks, they flourish when it comes to fundamental analysis, but they also, they don't follow in suit of fundamental analysis. And the same thing about technical analysis too. Oh man, this video is going to be relatively long. SpaceX, IPO. Am I going to be partaking in SpaceX? Hell no. Why? I've had terrible luck, especially buying IPOs, because when a company does an initial price offering, typically a lot of times the stock will rally. Now, Musk is no newbie. He's doing the IPO on Friday, which is very strategic. That means that he has the weekend to be pumping the stock, giving publicity, and next week, SpaceX IPO could very much be extremely like bullish. I mean, hey, maybe they double in price. Who knows, right? Now, if you are trading that IPO, let me put it this way. There was one IPO that I actually made out very well. Very well. And do you know what IPO it was? It was Airbnb. Do you want to know why I got lucky on Airbnb? Because I got lucky on Airbnb because I bought it when it IPO'd during Rona. And I ended up getting a lot of my shares between 140 and 160. I ended up selling in this cluster over here. Nothing crazy for a big profit, but I definitely held during this double bottom of 130. And I said to myself, man, this kind of really sucks. I was also a newbie back then. It was my first year in the market. I wasn't even in the market for the first year. And I started learning about IPOs and what essentially pretty much like happens. A company does an offering and then they dilute the ever-living shit out of you. Okay? SpaceX is going to be diluting. Google just did an offering. Yeah, Google raised money so they can spend more money on CapEx. Okay? SoFi has done offerings. So the thing about it is that, yeah, Airbnb, I remember, and I'm like, oh man, this kind of really sucks. I really feel that I got lucky with Airbnb because there was so much money being pumped in the market, especially around this time period. But I held Airbnb for about a year, made a little bit of money, nothing crazy. I ended up making it was so small. It was like $3,000-4,000 essentially on Airbnb, which in theory is terrible because my other positions during 2020 and 2021, I was making 200-300% on so many positions. The airline stocks, the cruise lines, pretty much staple companies, cosmetic companies. One cosmetic company, Coty, Coty, I ended up doing a 300% banger on that one. It was crazy during Rona, right? So for me to literally make like less than friggin', I think it was like 15%, it was pretty bad. But it goes to show. It really does go to show, okay? I got lucky during that IPO. And what is Airbnb trading at right now? Pretty much Airbnb is trading like where they IPO'd. Like Airbnb has not even broken its all-time highs. So the thing about SpaceX, if you're thinking about taking a long position in that, it could be a while before you see that thing go to you. Do your due diligence around IPOs. Now, if you're trading, different story. Will I be trading SpaceX? To be honest, I really won't be. I'll be talking about it, especially Friday. I'll be talking about it next week as well. But a lot of money is being sucked out of the market on stocks by institutions because they are preparing for SpaceX. Then we also got OpenAI, Anthropic. Actually, I think Anthropic is first, then OpenAI. So we got gigantic companies doing public offerings. There is a lot of consensus, especially among the retail community, that once these IPOs are done, this is when the market's going to go on a tear. But we got to get these large IPOs out of the way. These are not small IPOs. These are IPOs of trillions of dollars. Where's the money coming from? The money can't be pulled out of thin air. Think about that. I'm going to wrap up today's episode. If you found value in today's video, drop a like. Let me know down below if you agree with me on anything I talked about. Let me know if you're going to be partaking in SpaceX. If you are, I honestly wish you the best. We're gonna really see what happens. All right, see everyone tomorrow. New video and later.